Welcome to the Do Good X podcast, a sanctuary from the entrepreneurial grind. Hosts Kimberly Danielle and Stephen Lewis, advocates for impactful entrepreneurship, guide you on the path where purpose meets business. Join us to slow down, reconnect, and explore the challenges of under-resourced entrepreneurs, uncovering the unique journey of building businesses that make a difference. Now, your hosts.
So I want to welcome you to our Do Good X podcast. My name is Stephen Lewis, and I am a catalyst for positive change in communities and businesses. And for over 2 decades, I've inspired leaders and entrepreneurs to live and work on purpose with intention, with their faith, and a commitment to their well-being. I'm delighted to be joined here today with my co-host, Kimberly Danielle.
Hi, Stephen. How are you doing today?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm a little tired, but I'm good. Hey, everyone.
Hey.
I am Kimberly. Yes, I will say, hey, I'm from originally South Carolina, even though I live in Atlanta. So, hey, I'm Kimberly Danielle. I am a communication strategist, a coach, and a community builder who comes from generations of faith-driven entrepreneurs and leaders who believe that our purpose should drive us to contribute to the common good. And today, Stephen and I are going to have a conversation that I feel is pretty popular, especially for Black and Brown folks who may have a 9-to-5, 8-to-4, whatever it might be, look like. But you also have a little side hustle going on. And much of the question is your side hustle a hobby or is it a business? Is it a hobby or is it a business? Because some people start thinking about, can this replace my typical day job as a business? Or is it something that I should just keep as a hobby or a passion project? So that's what we're just going to talk briefly about today. What are some initial thoughts you have, Stephen, about this?
Well, I think it comes down to these 3 categories: hobbyist, a tinkerer, or an entrepreneur. Or maybe it's all 3 wrapped up together. But How I Built This, written by Guy Raz, details his advice for beginning an entrepreneurial journey. And in it, he references 3 types of people in relationship to their passion. He talks about hobbyists, tinkerers, or entrepreneurs. And this can be a helpful framework for thinking about if your side hustle is a passion project or a business. Now, Guy Raz explains that a hobbyist is someone who develops a project purely fueled by their own passion. A tinkerer is a person who creates something from their passion that solves a problem that not only they have or that a few people face. And then an entrepreneur is someone who is not only design a product or a service driven by their passion, but it also solves a problem that many people have, which potentially makes it a viable solution. And I think these 3 categories are helpful when you're thinking about maybe kind of even different stages of your entrepreneurial journey, because your entrepreneurial journey in business can start as a hobby. But then some point, that hobby has to become something more than your passion project. You actually got to kind of tinker with it if you want to actually make it into something that is of substance that actually addresses a real problem. And then as you think about how do you scale that and actually create this into a business that's actually going to do good work in the world, then you got to think about more of some of the entrepreneurial kind of frameworks in that regard. So I think these are 3 at least 3 helpful categories to think about where you may be or what you're doing at the moment and how you want to transition to these next stages as you think about your own entrepreneurial journey unfolding.
I like those 3 categories. I'm a fan of How I Built This, not just the book, but also the podcast as well. And so I like those 3 categories that Guy Raz offers. When we think about the hobbyist and having this driven by passions do not always translate into a business.
Say it again.
Some people, passions do not always translate into a business. Now it could be a business, but will it be a successful business? I don't know about that. So if your passion is just something that you enjoy doing and creating your free time, but it's not addressing a clear need or a desire or a challenge that many people in the communities are facing, you're probably a hobbyist or a tinkerer. There needs to be some there and enough people that are experiencing that need or desire in order for it to be a business that will thrive. And ultimately, you need to be making money. And I'm not just talking about, a few dollars here, a few dollars there. That's helpful if it's just a side passion project. But if you're looking for something sustainable, that's different. So I know people who make candles or make jewelry or do some graphic design, and they are passionate about these things. My mother, she makes quilts as a side hustle or project, but that's something she's just passionate about. She's not wanting to translate that into a business or to live off of that. I mean, also my mom is a retired teacher. She's fine. But and these other folks, it's just something they enjoy doing, but they don't have enough clientele, or they see a need that is wide enough and strong enough for them to transition it to a business. Now, that's not to say you can't look at your passion and think about it through the lens of how might this translate into something that is actually needed. That can be a thing. So maybe you are a graphic designer, you do that on the side as a side hustle. Maybe there's a specific type of design that's needed in a specific field, and you're seeing that. So part of it includes like some research if you're wanting to turn your passion project into a business. So you need to do some self-reflection on, is this just a thing that I want to do because it brings me joy? Great. You need to do your research. If
Facts.
This is going beyond a thing that I enjoy, but something I actually want to live off of and do and grow and scale and employ others potentially to do this thing. Okay, do your research to see if there's a market fit for it, to see if there's a need for it, to see if there's a community that's looking for it. And get out and talk to people. Don't live in your own head. Don't just talk to one person, because that one person is not going to fill your pockets. Let's just keep it real. unless it is an investor. So, that's a different kind of conversation. Unless you have a relationship with somebody who has the means to support building that thing, you need to get out. Self-reflection, like I said, research, talk to people.
That's real talk. I mean, I think, not every passion has to be about making money, right? I mean, sometimes you do it for the love of the thing that you're actually doing. And when you start trying to figure out how you make money, it sometimes can kind of dim your light around the thing that you say that you was once passionate about. So I think you're right. It's important to be careful about how you transition passions into that. But I do think that while not all passions translate into an entrepreneurial venture, I do think entrepreneurial ventures, particularly those that are focused on social good, must have some seed of a passion about why you care about this thing. And, it can start off with you just kind of tinkering with a thing, but then you actually, well, you know what? I actually want to build something structurally that actually addresses this problem for a lot of people. And so I think that's something to keep in mind as well.
I think that's definitely a good point. And related to that, if it is something that is a business and we're talking about doing social good, make sure you're not just passionate about your idea or the product or the service, that you're passionate about what it is, the problem, the need, the desire you are addressing, because your product or your service will probably shift over time based on the needs of the market and the community and what's happening in the world. And so it's that passion for doing good in a particular way that is really going to drive you and drive your business moving forward. That's an aside, but related to what you were saying, Stephen.
No, that's good, because I think, particularly in Do Good X, what we oftentimes say is that we want you to be passionate about a problem. Like, why is this thing the way it is? And why do I care about it? And what if we could actually address this and to alleviate this issue, this cause, this problem? What if we could actually help people who really find themselves in a tension and are coming up with different things that actually address this thing? And I think to your point, when people are passionate about the problem, then they can be more open to the impossibilities or multiple solutions that can actually address the thing that they most care about. And that then, I think, helps you build your tribe of users and customers that then helps you scale the thing that you actually say that you want to do and bring into the world.
Right. Ultimately, there is nothing wrong with falling into any of these categories, whether you're just doing it as
That's
a
right.
hobby, whether you are a tinkerer, whether you are an entrepreneur. It's just important for you to get clear about what is your intention behind it and what do you want from it. And that might evolve over time. So you might be a hobbyist now and maybe it turns into becoming a tinkerer. Maybe then you become an entrepreneur. Who knows? But I just want you all to know if that thing that you're doing on the side, is just a passion project, just leave it that way. It just brings you joy. And so just consider some of the things that Stephen and I have shared as you figure out what are your next steps. And I will say, something that you all can reference in a previous episode that we had with a Duke at X alum, Demi McCoy. She had a passion project around graphic design, around making sure that what is designed translates into the communities that are being served. And she got her clientele began to grow so much to where it was overcoming what she was making was more than what she made at her full-time job. And so that became the kind of starting point, the launching point for her to then think about an agency and launching that. And she's now transitioned from her full-time job to working for her business full-time. And so that's an example that you can go back to and reference in a previous episode of someone who took a side hustle and turned it into a business.
That's great. I think, in the end, our hope is that, everyone has a hobby, an outlet that helps feed their joy. And that, in some cases, not in all, those hobbies can actually be something that you tinker with and maybe even grow into an entrepreneurial journey if you so choose. And so I think, Guy Raz and the work that he's doing is an important resource for folks kind of thinking about, how do I build this? Not just how I built this, but how do I build the thing that I actually, care about and passionate about? And so I think thinking about your own ideas around, is this, am I a hobbyist? Am I a tinkerer? Am I actually an entrepreneur? Or the things that I'm actually working with, are there something that I want to do more in terms of that side hustle, or something to keep in mind as you move forward in the days ahead of you in your own potential journey or your existing journey as an entrepreneur? Because entrepreneurs also have hobbies as well.
Right.
They're always tinkering and also thinking about, other things they may do. That's why we have serial entrepreneurs.
Right. Well, if you are tuning in and you have that side hustle and you are clear that it's not just a hot side hustle, but it is potentially a business that you want to pursue and a business that is for good, head over to dogoodx.org and we have tools, resources, and a community to help get you started. We hope you join us again. And until next time, be well and do good.
Thank you for listening to the Do Good X podcast. To continue the conversation or access our resources, visit www.dogoodx.org. Join us again for conversations that will nourish your soul, ignite your dreams, and empower you to build an impactful business, one intentional step at a time. Until then, keep striving, thriving, and doing good.